Um, yeah, thank you. As I said, my name is Chris. I'm from Field Office Architecture. Talking to you today about a project that finished toward early last year. It's called the Moonee Valley Tote Bar and Dining. The project is actually part of the greater Moonee Valley Racecourse precinct and is essentially adaptive reuse. So plus additions to an existing heritage listed building. Just a little bit of a summary of the project. So as I said, it's hospitality. We were the architects. We actually worked in collaboration with the interiors with Mitchell and Eads. The heritage component was done in collaboration with Lovell Chen. Landscape architecture was Track Consulting. Builder was Tandem Building Group. And yeah, as I said, early last year. Just to give you a little bit of a history, so the Moonee Valley Racecourse actually first opened in 1893 and has been sort of slowly surrounded over the years by a sort of, you could say, relatively dense urban fabric around it. It's considered sort of, I guess, one of the more important sort of from a historical perspective. It's got a primary heritage significance, Victorian Heritage Register, and one of the main parts of it was the Tote building. So the Tote building is one of the oldest examples of one of those bedding buildings in Australia. It's one of those buildings that has like the long narrow windows on it. People go better. And so that's why it had the sort of primary significance. With the heritage, you can sort of see to the right there, that's a photo from the 1960s and sort of characterized by the large terracotta roofs as well. That's an example of it when we took on the job in 2018. As you can sort of see there, the terracotta roof is still there. A lot of ad hoc additions and alterations over the years. Including a sort of large canopy to the east of it. So we're looking north there. Also internally, it basically just becomes storage and offices. To the right there, I've just got a photo of those heritage listed windows that on one side were completely blocked up by a toilet block. On the other side, there were some sort of still there, but not used. So anyway, we were engaged. We actually won a design competition, and part of this project was the client came to us. They wanted to bring this building sort of back to life as such. So they knew the heritage significance of it, and they also, as part of this project, wanted to create more of a public interface to this building. So if you can sort of see there, sort of either side of where that arrow is, the large brick buildings. As part of the project, which was done with Tract, all of that area was to be transformed to a public park. And then the Tote building, which is this terracotta roof here, was to be sort of brought back to life as a hospitality venue for at least 130 people. All of this was to be removed. And really sort of we were given the opportunity to really free this building up, bring it back to life, but also sort of create, I guess, more of a contemporary interface between this and the public. So this was going to be their entry point to the entire precinct, and to them they sort of jewel in their crown as such. So this is an elevation of sort of, I guess, the finished product with that parkland there. Part of the program requirements for this project was that it needed to sort of increase in size just due to what was needed from a patron perspective. So we saw a real opportunity to, and obviously working with Lovell Chen to really try and create something that was sympathetic but completely contemporary. It was almost mandated that it couldn't be sort of mimicking what was done with the heritage. We wanted to let the heritage component sort of breathe and be itself. We wanted to restore as much as possible. So that included bringing back to life all of those windows that you can sort of see along that facade, really opening it up, and then using sympathetic minimal materials that I guess spoke its own language. but was also, of its own era. That's just a floor plan of what sort of came to us, the existing. As you can sort of see there, there's toilet blocks sort of attached to it and a whole bunch of annexes, which we stripped back. And this was the floor plan that we came up with. So just quickly, one of the opportunities that we really saw was to open up to the north as much as possible as part of, I guess, future works that will be as north here. This will be sort of one of the main sort of walking thoroughfares of the project. And we really wanted to sort of, I guess, open it up as much as possible, but also create a vernacular that was, I guess, a little bit more human scale. So whilst the heritage aspect of the building has a sort of large rendered walls, big terracotta roof, obviously of a heritage vernacular, we wanted to create sort of, I guess, a finer sort of detail that would sort of, I guess, juxtapose a little bit with the heritage, but also provide little spots for people to sit, part of the seating areas, that sort of thing. So that's why we came up with, along this edge here, it's sort of almost merging with the planter boxes that we've got around the site, a series of sort of steel fins that have been done in COLORBOND, and they also provide western protection for the terrace dining area, but also it's a seated banquette seating along there. Part of the, one of the key sort of heritage aspects of the project is that rhythm of the long, narrow windows. So for us, it was really important, well, we saw the opportunity from a design perspective to sort of carry that through. And that's sort of why we've sort of landed with that window proportion there with the steel fins. It's carrying through that rhythm, but in a much more sort of contemporary way as such. Okay, no worries. Similarly, the curves, whilst are quite heavy, it's about playing, I guess, with mass versus finer detail and trying to sort of create that play as such. As I was saying before, you've got the sort of planter beds which sort of merge with the building there. So it's sort of a gentler touch in terms of its siting. And you can sort of see just to the right there, that's where that parkland is. In terms of the value of this project, in terms of the success of this project, the client considered this the jewel in their crown, as I was sort of saying, bringing this project back to life. But it has been very successful in terms of providing that public interface. What we're finding is that people come with their kids throughout the week. They play. They walk along. They walk along the little banquettes here. There's a little playground here just to the north where they play. They go get their coffee. In the summer nights, a lot of younger people come and they drink beer in the park there. So what this project has done is it's really put something back to the community that for many years was just walled off by building and large brick walls. And that's just an example on the other side there, I guess, of that sort of the contrast between the building vernaculars. And internally, so there's, you can see there the restoration of those windows. I see we're at time, so I'll just quickly speed through. What we tried to do is try and keep it as much as, so with the heritage aspect, trying to lean into that as much as possible, but trying to create something that's quite striking but sympathetic.